Hey. Bear with me for one moment while I get these comments up. Actually, hang on one second. All right. So, as always, the link to the show is in the comments. You guys are more than welcome to join and chat if there is anything specific that you want to talk about and are comfortable doing so. Um, Obviously, if you're not comfortable doing so, feel free to message me, and we'll get your comments up. If it's something that you want to remain anonymous and you don't want people to know about, I often, well, I have these notes that I have every week, and it has a list of topics that I want to cover. And a lot of times there are listener comments on there, there's listener topics on there, and you guys don't even know. So it's very possible for me to sneak your information in without anybody knowing that it was you. So feel free to do that anytime. I try not to check my phone while I'm on the air, so I might not get to it this week, but I will work on getting to it next week. Um, so first, I think that next week I want to do the guys show. I'm going to reach out to a few people who have expressed interest in doing it. But if you know any guys who would be super brave enough to come on and talk about men's mental health and the struggles that guys have, and you know what they do to deal with it, let me know. Message me. Um, you know, just let's make this happen because it's really important to me. I said, "What's up, D? Perfect timing. I'm bummed out bad that I missed everyone at Paris Icon." Yeah, Eddie. Ugh. I mean, it's not like you missed it because you overslept or something. I mean, you had a lot going on, and that's totally understandable, but it would have been good to see you. And I know that you definitely need to get away sometimes. So we were definitely bummed and missing you very much, um but it's summertime now, so everybody's, coming out of hibernation and hopefully we'll get to see you soon. Um, don't forget you have an invite from me on your Facebook for this Sunday. Um, so check that out and come to that because a lot of us will be there. Um, so first, I wanted to thank you guys so much. Um, I posted I have someone that I love very much who was struggling with food. And, I ordered a couple of things on Amazon. I sent some boxes of stuff that I had at home. Um, and I talked to this person and they said, "Thank you so much. I've been super dizzy because I haven't really been eating." Um, they just were drinking prescribed Ensure drinks that they had, whatever. And so I did a super hard thing. And, I try to tell people all the time that if you need help to reach out. And even though I was the person helping, I needed help too. So what I did was I made an Amazon wish list and I filled it up with all kinds of different non-perishable foods. Um, and I reached out to my friends and family and I said, I just need you to trust me. And I'm not going to tell you who this person is. I'm not going to tell you what's going on with them. I just need you to trust me. And I was so overwhelmed with the amount of people that bought things, even if it was like a $2 pack of oatmeal or, a $30 bag of dog food. Like there were so many people, and this person was sending me messages and just like in shock at how many people just blindly trusted me and, were so amazing to do this for somebody that they don't even know. They don't even know who it is. I could have been having you send stuff to my house. But you guys all trusted me, and that was so amazing. And this person and I are so thankful. What's up, John? John said yo-yo. And my, ADHD brain is now thinking of yo-yos like the toys. But that brings up such a good point. Eddie being upset about not being at ParaPsyCon this weekend. And, John, you've experienced it too recently with your book release and how many people are just so supportive of you. There's so much to be said for having good friends in your life. I think that is literally a game changer. If you have the right people surrounding you, it makes a world of difference. And it's like therapy in itself. There's so many people that I know that describe it as being good for your soul, because it is. When you hang out with the right people, you can feel it in your soul. And if you're not feeling it and you're not, you're not positively affected by those friendships, then maybe it's time to walk away. And it's not always bad to do that. Nobody is the same person that they were 5-10 years ago, right? So it's understandable that your needs change and that person's needs change. And I just think that it's so important, because you are what you hang with, right? If you are constantly surrounding yourself with people who, like to gossip and like to just bitch about everything, that negativity is going to rub off, and that's what you're going to end up doing. And that's who you're going to end up becoming. But if you are surrounded by people who are focused on goals and focused on improving themselves and focused on improving the lives of people around them, and, just focused on positivity, then that's what you're going to turn into, and that's what you'll become, and that's what you'll radiate. It's life-changing. Because when you are constantly surrounded by people who are just negative all the time, then it becomes a habit, and that's just who you become. And yeah, John said he was definitely blown away by the support. There is nothing better. There is nothing better. And when I became a real estate agent, I had the same thing, John. I just had so many people just liking my posts and sharing my posts, like people that don't even live here in Northeast Ohio. They were sharing my posts and telling all of their friends. I actually just got a text today that made me so happy. It was from this girl, and she said, what did she say? She said, "I'm friends with Tommy, and he said that you're the dopest real estate agent in the world. Would you be willing to help me?" Referrals mean everything. And it's just so nice to have the support of your friends and to have, people who are cheering for you. God, that is such a difference. I hate, I know that you guys probably think that I just love bragging about myself because I'm always posting like things about work, but I hate it. I hate it because I don't want people to think that, I'm just bragging and I have a huge ego and whatever. But like, I work really hard, and I am proud of myself, and I feel like that's okay. And it's so nice to be surrounded by people who are like, hell yeah, that's okay. Keep doing it. I love it. I love it. I don't care. I love when people brag. Feel free to brag in the comments, by the way. Any show, anytime I'm doing a show, feel free to brag in the comments. I love it. If people are going to the gym and they're losing weight, who cares if they're posting gym photos? You know what I mean? Like, be proud of them. That's amazing. They're working hard at something and they're proud of themselves, and they should be. And we should never be like shaming people for being proud of themselves. Um, we look at your kids color some picture that doesn't even look like anything, and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so great. Like, keep that same energy with your adult friends. Like, if it's an accomplishment to them, then cheer them on, because it's not always winning awards or whatever. Like, John, sorry to keep using you as an example, like, you don't have to be a number one selling author. Like, you'll get there someday, but I'm super fucking proud of you. Sorry, I forgot this is a show that I try not to swear on. I'm super proud of you for sticking with it. There were so many times where you could have given up. Like, I don't care if you sold 10 million copies of your book or 10. Like, I'm so proud of you for doing something that you wanted to do and something that makes you happy and not giving up. And, even though you came across a bunch of hiccups, like, who cares? Just be proud of your friends and let them be proud. And for God's sake, don't ever like shame somebody for being proud of themselves. I hate so much that we are like not allowed to do that. And like that you are forced to be like super humble. I feel like if you worked hard for something, absolutely brag about it. You should. And to be honest, you bragging about working so hard and accomplishing your goals is motivation for people. What's not motivation is doing something good and then having people in your comments go, "Oh, I see you're so humble. Oh, I see your ego is getting out of control." That doesn't encourage anybody. That doesn't help anybody. That is not serving a good purpose. So stop doing it. Eddie said, made amazing friends throughout the years. I'm still honored to help with Madison and be part of the Mad Crew. Absolutely. I've met so many incredible people just from volunteering at Madison. Seriously, sometimes Shelly and I will be driving somewhere, or, Goose and I will be talking, and I'm like, I don't know how this is my life. I don't know how this is my life. So many amazing things have come from it. But if you put that out there, then that's what you get. Why is nobody bragging in the comments, guys? That was the point. John, I will brag for you. You have your second book cover done too. I didn't get to watch your TikTok because I had to get on here. I was already 5 minutes late, but yeah, just please, oh my gosh, just please be supportive of your friends. Even if they're your Facebook friends and you've never met them in real life. Some of my biggest fans, some of my people who are constantly supporting me and sharing my stuff and liking it and commenting and whatever, are people I've never met. I wouldn't even recognize them if I walked past them in a store, because we've never actually seen each other in real life, and nobody looks like their Facebook profile pictures. Most people don't even have a picture of themselves. But I don't know. I just feel like that's such a big pet peeve of mine, is that we're like forced to be humble. And if you're anything other than humble, then you're egotistical and, whatever. It's so important to be proud of yourself, because what's the point? Literally, what's the point? If you like, why work hard if your hard work is just going to be rewarded by people being shitty to you, work hard and brag about it. And you never know who's watching. Somebody might be looking at you and being like, oh my gosh, that's great. I can do it too if I work hard. And you never know who you're inspiring. And you don't have to be inspiring them to do whatever it is you're doing. Maybe just them seeing you working hard and seeing you get positive feedback and whatever, then maybe that will encourage them. We talked about it last time on the show. Like, your words are so powerful, so powerful. And it could be positive or negative. A lot of people focus, obviously, because it's important, on the negative part of it. You never know how close somebody is to doing something terrible. And I think you guys know what I mean. You never know how close somebody is. And you never know if that shitty thing that you just said to them was their last straw. Maybe they were in their head like, this world doesn't need me anymore. I'm just waiting for a sign to let me know if that's the right call, whatever. And then you come along and do some stupid thing or scream at somebody while you're driving or whatever. And then that's it. The person's like, yep, obviously I've made the right decision. But I think that people need to talk too about how your positive words can make such a huge difference to somebody. It's so important, guys, especially with the way that the world is now and everybody's a keyboard crusader and everybody's so mean. It's so important to just be a good person. It's really not that hard. It's really not that hard. I actually would encourage you guys, and I know I did this on the last show, but I would encourage you guys to find one person every single day to just shoot them a message and say, hey, I just want to let you know I think you're doing a really good job. Or, hey, I just wanted to tell you I think you're a really great mom. Or, like, hey, I saw your gym post from today. You're really looking good. Congratulations, whatever. You cannot even imagine how much that can change that person's life and just give them that little bit that they need to keep going. So be a positive impact on the world. And it doesn't have to be something huge. You don't have to raise $1 million for a charity. You don't have to do whatever. But like the thing that I did for that person that was struggling with food, somebody who spent $2 on a pack of oatmeal, that's 10 meals for that person. That's a huge impact. And just that person knowing that there are absolute strangers out there who care was so huge for this person. And it cost $2. You don't have to go and buy everything that's on the Amazon wish list. Like, little things make a huge difference. Oh, sorry. Eddie said his first book was a great read. John said, I've actually had quite a few people reach out to me asking me for tips on how to go about writing books. It's been pretty cool. See, it's so great. And I like that you were like honest about your struggles. I like that you were posting about like things that were not going right, because I think that's another part is people always think that everything is all sunshine and rainbows because that's all you see on social media. So I think it was important for you to post that it was not great, but you did it and it was totally worth it in the end. And he said, exactly, don't be an asshole. Yes. We talked about this a lot this weekend, obviously, because we have those stickers at Parapsychon. And, we sign off our other show every week by reminding people not to be an asshole. And at first it was kind of just like something funny, but honestly, like, think about every single problem in the world, right? Literally every single problem. Pick up the top 5 problems for you, or pick 10 problems and think about how different those issues would be if everyone just stopped being an asshole, right? Literally the entire world would change if everybody just stopped being an asshole. Obviously that's not going to happen, but it's a nice thought. John said I felt a little weird at Parapsychon a couple times signing books because I had to use some of the vendors' tables. Of course, I asked if it was okay, but I felt like they were giving me judgmental glances. Actually, this is a great segue into another thing that I wanted to talk about, because they probably weren't. it's just you're super nice and don't want to like impose on their table and what they're doing. Um, hopefully you didn't do it like on other authors like tables, because that might be a little awkward. But people honestly probably were just trying to like see the cover of the book and like see who you were and whatever, especially because you were wearing a shirt that had the cover of the book on it. Um, it's hard when you are just a nice person and you have no intentions of hurting other people. So those people were probably not being judgmental. You just felt like you were doing something wrong. And so when they were looking at you, you thought that it was in a judgmental way. Um, I don't think it was, only happened a couple of times. Okay. Eddie said, D, John has always been there for me. If you've heard about the dolls, it went bad, but we had each other's backs and still do. Absolutely. Um, you guys are both great people, and I know that you guys have been through a lot. Um, so I just had this conversation with my 19-year-old the other day. Um, he he doesn't like to bother people. And he has this friend who, he would always go over his house and hang out or whatever. And Ryan would always be the one to like call him up and be like, "Hey, what are you doing? Is it all right if I come over?" Um, and this has been a year at least. I don't know. But that's how it was. 3, 4 times a week, Ryan would just call him and be like, "Hey, what are you doing? Is it all right if I come over?" Well, Ryan decided that he didn't want to do that anymore. He changed and he um decided that he felt like he was always imposing, like, because his friend never called him to see if he could come over, whatever, never called him and said, "Hey, do you want to come over today?" So Ryan like changed the way he was thinking, never talked about it with his friend, and then was like getting upset because his friend was never calling him to say, "Hey, why don't you come over?" Um, and I tried to explain to Ryan, like, you don't know what other people are thinking. Maybe your friend is sitting there going, "Man, I really hate that Ryan's so busy all the time and he never comes over. Like, I don't want to bother him, but I really want him to come over." You don't know what other people are thinking. And Ryan's sitting over here thinking, like, "Oh, this guy obviously doesn't like me anymore, doesn't want to hang out with me anymore," because he didn't even notice that I stopped asking. And he just, never calls to see if I want to come over. Um, I should have uploaded it, but there was this amazing TikTok that was like basically saying that your brain is your worst nightmare, is your worst enemy. And the thoughts that you have in your head are like, I don't know why we have evolved into these like balls of anxiety. Like our brain should not be working against us at all times. And I understand, like, in caveman times, you like had to constantly be on edge and you had to constantly think of like what was the worst case scenario, what could happen, because that was literally survival. If you didn't do those things, then you were just dumb and you died because you didn't notice that there was a pterodactyl that can eat you. But like we should have evolved out of that, and we don't need to do that anymore. But our brains like continuously self-sabotage all the time. I feel like retired people, I don't know how they do it. And maybe I'll change by the time I get there, but I cannot sit here in my house and be happy. I can't. Um, it's just not possible, because if I'm not doing something, then my brain is sitting there thinking of all of the bad things, like all of the, I haven't talked to this person in a while. They obviously hate me. This person said this thing that might possibly be able to be considered snarky. So obviously they hate me. Um, and especially when you're like a people pleaser kind of person, like your thoughts are your worst enemy, because you're sitting there thinking of all these things that are so terrible. Honestly, all of my thoughts are like, that person hates me, that person hates me. Probably everybody hates me, because why could anybody like me? I cannot sit here. I cannot sit here at home and do nothing. I can't, we had a girls' weekend at the cabin. This was years ago. I'm way overdue for another one, but we had a girls' weekend at the cabin, and everybody's like, oh, I can't wait to just sit around a fire and take naps and whatever. And here's me. I like brought a projector and paint so that I could paint a so I could paint a scene of like deers and trees on the wall of the cabin. And like, I brought the entire meal plan for the entire weekend, had everything all planned out. I was like constantly doing something, and everybody's like, why don't you just sit down and relax? And I'm like, because that doesn't work for me. If I sit here and relax, I'm going to be like crying and want to go home. Sorry. John said, oh, I'm in the same boat with that feeling. I think that we're so quick to jump to the worst case scenario, especially when you're a people pleaser, especially when you have anxiety or depression or ADHD, anything like that. We're so quick to assume the worst. And I feel like, honestly, it causes so many problems in friendships, in marriages, whatever. Okay, perfect example. Do you guys ever see the meme where it's like the guy and the girl, and they're laying in bed and they're facing opposite ways, and she's kind of like looking back at him, and she says, he's probably thinking of other girls. And then it'll say his thoughts, and it's always something like totally random. Like, I wonder if cannibals use seasoning. Like, that's what he's thinking about. But our brains, like, for some stupid reason, are like, oh, he obviously hates me. It's the worst case scenario. Like, our brains come up with all these terrible theories about what's happening. And I feel like if people were to just like talk about things, then they would realize that none of that's true. Like if my son were to call his friend and be like, hey, I just want to let you know, I feel really bad about always imposing on your life. So if you want me to come over, just shoot me a text. I'll come over whenever. Then it could have been solved. But now my son hasn't seen this kid in like 2 months because he feels like he should be calling him. But I don't know. They should just talk about it. John said, speaking of that meme. Oh, I hope you don't put a comment up because I won't be able to see it. That is one of my favorites though, because that is it's so funny, and it's so true. It's so true. The other one is that sometimes I will have dreams that my husband cheated on me, and I'll like wake up mad at him. John said, I think the funniest one I saw talked about Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. It basically said, since he has one eye, is it a blink or a wink? See, that's what I'm talking about, man. Like those are hilarious, and they're such an accurate depiction for how so many interactions between human beings go. Somebody, especially somebody who has self-esteem issues or anything like that, like they're going to automatically assume that somebody's thinking the worst, or that, like he's probably thinking about other girls. And this is honestly a big thing for me and my husband, because he is so straightforward. He's so straightforward. There's never any like, well, he said this, he might mean this. Like, he will tell you what he means every single time. And that was such an adjustment for me. I spent years and years and years with him saying something, and then my brain trying to process it for 2 days, trying to figure out what he actually meant. And then I would get upset, and then I would talk to him, and I would be like, what did you mean by this? And he's like, exactly what I said. And it was just such a foreign concept to me because I don't know. I just don't, it's not something that is normal to me for somebody to just say exactly what they feel and say exactly what they mean. mean exactly what they say. So we were that meme for so long because I was always thinking the worst. Um, I have to tell you guys, I had a psychic reading this weekend. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I've heard so many things about this guy, and so so many of my friends were like, his reading changed my life, and um, so I decided to get one this weekend at OSR, and I did really good. I sat down and I was like, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry because everybody's like, just bring your tissues because he just makes everybody cry. Um, and it was no, it wasn't Greg. It was Chris. And I uh I got to the very last card and he said something about you need to let yourself be happy. I did not realize that this was like a foreign concept to my brain. And I just lost it. I just started crying and I was like, how am I supposed to do that? Um I spent most of my life for various reasons that I will not get into. Um, I spent most of my life like in some sort of survival mode, whether it was emotional or financial or whatever. I've always been in some sort of survival mode. So now that, I have this job and, my husband's making good money and, our kids are older. So there's not like all of that stress that comes with having little kids or infants or toddlers. Um, we have our house, like everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. And my brain doesn't understand that. And it's such a weird concept because like how does a person not know how to be happy, right? Um how how can you be 40 years old and not understand that it's okay to just live in the moment and be happy? That's not that's not something that my brain normally does. And that's not something that comes easy because for all of my life that I can remember, there's always been something that I need to stay on top of. Um, I'm trying to figure out, like, I don't want to say too many things, but I've always had to, try to figure out what's going to happen next. I've always had to figure out, like, how can I mitigate whatever situation is going to come up? How can I fix whatever situation is going to come up? And I always had to try to stay 10 steps ahead of everything because I was constantly in survival mode. And now that I'm not, my brain doesn't know what to do. I'm going to be honest, my brain does not know what to do because I will sit here and I will just think about, well, all of this could go wrong. I mean, yes, it could. Sure, it could. But for the first time in my life, I'm not like right there at the edge of something that needs my brain to be in survival mode. And so he talked about how I need to give myself permission to be happy and to live in the moment. And I was like, "How?" And I just I just lost it like a baby, dude. I cried so hard. And I didn't mean to. I didn't mean for it to come out that way, but it just was like, how? How do you tell your brain after all this time of telling it to constantly be in survival mode? How do you tell it like, "Hey, chill out now." We've had a good system and the fighting that I've done and I'm not like I wasn't like physically fighting people, but you know what I mean? Like the working and the fighting that I've done inside my brain to make sure that I'm going in the right direction and to make sure that everything is as good as it can be. That fighting is what comes natural now. And Chris was like, listen, I'm not telling you to be happy. I'm not saying that you can force your brain to be happy. I'm saying give yourself permission to step back and be happy. boy, did that hit me like a ton of bricks. This guy is amazing. John and Eddie are having a conversation with each other. John said, I'm the same way, D. I need to work on this too. But go into build mode and be happy instead of survival mode. Yeah, honestly, I do try really hard to focus my energy into work and, just instead of like trying to figure out how I'm going to navigate out of a bad situation, I'll figure out like I want to redo my deck. So I'm trying to like teach my brain like let's think about different things. Like let's figure out the steps for different things. Maybe now we don't have to like figure out how we're going to pay the electric bill, but like let's figure out how we can get to good goals for once, when I started this job, I actually did a to-do list. And it's so silly because I need like physical things. I need goals. Like my goal obviously was my Glass Globe award. And people think I'm crazy, but that's what I worked for. I busted my ass to get that globe. And everybody at my work is like, oh, cool, it's a Glass Globe, whatever. That was it for me. That was my goal. And so now I've started like, obviously I'm still going to try to get awards, but now I've just made like basically a to-do list of goals, and I want to get this done. I want to get this done. I want to get this done. And it's good because then it gives my brain something to focus on. And so I'm trying to do that, and it seems to be really working. I've made a step-by-step list of all the things that I want to do at the house. And, they're not all like huge projects or whatever, but they're just things that I want to do. And so I figured out the logical order of events to get all of those things done. And, this is not even like a 1-year goal. This is like a 5-year goal, but every single step that I have is something else that my brain can focus on instead of focusing on like trying to figure out bad scenarios that can come up. And it's little things like, the first thing that I want to do is have our house converted to gas instead of like all electric. And like, that's super simple because you just call the gas company and they'll hook it up for free. But there's like, an application that you need to do and like these appointments that you have to make and you have to talk to these people. So those are like little steps that I get to do, that I get to tell my brain like, hey, we're focusing on this. We're going to get this done instead of like trying to figure out all the things that are wrong. John said I won't relax till my books take off and I get my lakefront house in a warmer climate. That's so funny because a lakefront house, okay, Kathy Santori told me that she sees me at a lakefront house, and then I just had a dream about a lakefront house. I never even like thought about it. I never even like thought of it as being a goal, but that would be pretty cool. Although I saw a Facebook meme that was like, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't buy like mansions. I would just buy like a little apartment in like 10 different cities that I love so I could travel between them all. That would be fun. Nancy said you're making a lot of sense. We need to have goals and checklists. Honestly, it seems like archaic to some people, but like checklists are so good for me. And if I'm having one of my funks, I call them, where I'm like just in a real depressive, depression ridden state, and I'm having a super hard time getting off the couch or getting things done. And by things, I mean taking a shower, doing the dishes, mediocre things that should, be super easy for somebody to do. Sometimes I can't do that. A lot of times I can't do that. And so I will make a list and I will write down a few things that I want to do. And then like the third or fourth thing on the list is make a list. And I will make sure that I put a few like stupid things, like put a stamp on that envelope, or, text so-and-so or whatever. I will make sure I put things that take less than 10 seconds on it, because now I have a piece of paper with goals that I want to meet. And when I make the list and I cross that one off, something in my brain, my dopamine is like, yes, we can do this. And then so I'll send that text message, cross it off. In 10 seconds, I've just done 2 of my things on my list. And so it starts to like build the dopamine in my brain, and my brain's like, okay, we can do this. We can do this. What's next? And, so then I'll cross off the one that says, put the stamp on the envelope. Like, I'm killing it. I'm getting so much done. And then I will just turn on some music and try to get some other things done. And I don't always get everything done on my list, but at least I got some of them done. And it's just something about crossing it off. I like to do it like in Sharpie or highlighter or something that's like dramatic, because it's just a way to teach my brain, like, look at what we did. We accomplished 3 tasks in 30 seconds. They're not big tasks, but it helps. John says, oh man, to be able to go out on a deck and see the lake and eat a cold cut Sammy while kicking back and relaxing. Shoot. It is nice, but you know what? For now, I'll just have to settle for like renting an Airbnb every once in a while, which we are doing this summer. But it's nice. It is nice. I am definitely like a lake house kind of person, I realized, because we just rented one last year with some friends, and I realized that I like that life. I'm not a ocean beach kind of person. My anxiety is way too high, and I know that there's sharks and jellyfish and stonefish and all kinds of things in the ocean that can kill me. So I like the lake. John said that's fine too. I know my lakefront house will not be an immediate achievable goal. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Remember years ago, like people used to do, what were they called? They were like boards that people would make, and it was like a positivity board or manifestation board or something, and they would just like make it, and it would have like a bunch of pictures of a lake house, and you know they would just make this board and put it somewhere where they would look at it every day. And people make fun of me, but that is so real. Like, if you just put it out there to the universe, like, I'm gonna have this. Not like, oh, it'd be nice, or maybe someday I'll deserve it, or maybe someday I'll get it, or whatever. Put it out there like, I'm gonna own a lake house. I'm gonna own a lake house before I die. And just remind yourself every day that you are worthy of having it, and there's no reason you can't have it. Like, this is America. We have so many opportunities, and if you work hard enough, there's nothing you can't do, and you can have a lake house someday. No, it's probably not going to be in the next year, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. The thing that people forget, and I feel like this is just a society as a whole thing, um people forget that, like, to get those nice things, you might have to work hard for it. You might have to sacrifice some things. You might have to give up a lot of your time. Um, but those things are possible. I feel like everybody has this must be nice motto, right? Or this like must be nice mentality, instead of thinking like, wow, they did it. What can I do to get to it? Nobody ever wants to talk about like the hard work that somebody did to get to it. People just want to immediately be shitty and petty about it and be like, oh, must be nice. Well, you know what? It is nice. And I've earned it, and I busted my ass to get here. I think people forget about that very often, and that's sad. Nancy says I put mundane things on the list. Crossing things off gives me satisfaction and motivates me to keep it up. Absolutely. Um, you wouldn't believe how many times take a shower is on my to-do list. Like, to everyone else, maybe that's just like a normal thing. You just do it. But to my brain, it's a task, and it's a task that is very hard for me to do. Sometimes it's not easy to get yourself motivated to take a shower. Especially when you have all this hair, dude. It takes me 40 minutes to blow dry my hair, but it just helps so much to cross something off the list. Eat breakfast, put that on your list and cross it off. Um, there's so many mundane tasks that you can write on there. John said Linda Dix did a quick reading on me back in the winter. I didn't tell her how I was working on the books at the time. I just simply asked her if I would hit the goals I set for myself. And she responded that it's going to take longer than I would like, but it will happen eventually. Yep. And that's people are everybody's like an instant gratification kind of person, like, oh, I'll try something once and oh, it didn't work out, so I'm just going to give up or I'm just going to do something else. Like, don't. If you want something, then freaking go get it. Like, work hard and get to it. And just because one thing happens, like, that doesn't mean that you should just completely give up on what you were working on. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if we did that as children. Like, you fall off your bike once and you just like, oh, that's it, I'm never going to ride a bike. Or you try to tie your shoe once and it comes apart, like, oh, I guess I'm wearing Velcro for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like, I tell my kids that all the time because they get frustrated. They, like, when Everett started the trombone or when they started playing t-ball or whatever. Easton wanted to learn how to do a cartwheel when he was 5 years old. And he wanted to learn to dribble a basketball when he was 6 years old in first grade. And he was so determined and he used to get so upset. And Everett's the same way. They get so upset when they're not good at something. Well, yeah, it's your first day doing it. How would you even expect that you would be good at it? Yes, some people have natural talent and they're a little bit better at things, but nobody starts out at something perfect. And why do we forget that? We become adults and we try something once and we're like, oh, that didn't work out. That's a shame. I really wanted that to happen in my life. Okay, then keep going. Keep going. Make it happen. Right? I feel like we forget the things that we teach our children. We teach our children, oh, you could be anything you want to be if you just work hard at it. And then we get to be adults and we're like, I don't want to work hard. And I don't know. I like working hard. There's a lot of people who don't. A lot of people who don't. And I'm not talking about like physically working hard. I'm not a fan of that. But it's just so nice to accomplish something and to know that nobody else can take credit for that. Maybe that's a little bit selfish, but I like it. I spent a lot of time with a lot of people who would constantly like downplay things that I did in my life. And, they would try to take credit or say, well, you wouldn't be who you are without me or whatever. And I just got this like vendetta. And I was like, no, no, I'm gonna, I'm gonna prove them wrong. And in starting that, by starting out by saying, I'm going to prove them wrong, I just developed this, I don't know, this like super hardworking, super competitive. And I say competitive, I'm not competitive with other people. I'm not. We have 40 agents at my work, just at my brokerage, and I'm super happy for all of them. I don't compete with them. I'm super competitive with myself. I want to do better than I did yesterday. I want to be the best version of myself. I want to constantly be learning and constantly be improving myself. So I'm super competitive with myself, with the person I was yesterday, with the person I was a year ago. So that's what I mean when I say I'm competitive. Some like when I play volleyball or something, I'm competitive with other people. But when I'm talking about like crushing my goals, they're my goals. I don't give a shit what other people are doing. I'm not going to ever be upset because somebody did better than me or whatever. I'm not competitive with other people. I just want to constantly be a better version of myself. And, You know what happens when you do that too? Um, you don't have time for drama. You don't. And it's so nice. It kind of sucks sometimes because you also don't have time for like, your friends' kids' birthdays or, watching shows that everybody's watching. I can't even think of the last time I watched TV. Um, there's a lot of things you don't have time for. But the nice one is that you don't have time for drama and you don't have time for anything petty. Like if it's not making me a better person or making the world a better place, I don't want anything to do with it. And that gets a little hard sometimes because I don't have motivation to go and do mundane things that aren't going to feed my soul. And I don't know if I have totally given up on life or if I'm just starting to live it the best way possible, but that's where I've become. I'm very focused on the people in the activities that are going to make me a better person and not like a richer person or whatever. I'm just saying a better person. Um, John said he's hopping off. Great show. It was so good seeing you at OSR. It was good seeing you. I love your shirts, but I wish they came in black because I cannot wear white. Just a thought. Just a thought. Black or dark gray. That's pretty much all I wear. Um, but yeah, I actually am going to be getting off soon too. But I 100% want to encourage you guys to wait, let me make sure I got this. Okay. Um, I 100% want to encourage you guys to message somebody or text somebody or call somebody, but we don't do calls very often in this world. And just tell them one thing that like one positive thing. Um, if somebody posts a picture of them doing crafts with their kids, just send them a text and be like, I saw your post. You're such a good mom, or you're such a good dad, or whatever. If somebody's doing great at whatever part of their life that they're doing, just tell them. It's so important. And I think that all of us can think of a time where somebody's words like positively changed our lives, right? Hang on. Okay, sorry. Um, we can all think of a time when somebody's words positively changed our lives. We could think of a time where somebody said something or did something that made us feel good and made us, have like this new sense of determination or something that just makes you want to keep going. I feel like everybody has something like that. Um, so be that person to somebody else. Like be the reason that somebody wants to better themselves. Be the reason that somebody feels good about themselves. Like don't be an asshole, right? It's literally that simple. Gosh, it all boils down to that. But just always remember that your words mean so much, whether it's good or bad. And you have the choice to either change somebody's life for the good or the bad. And I would hope that if you're listening to the show, obviously you want to be a good person. Obviously you worry about things like that, but you never know. Um, and just, I don't know. There's never a benefit to talking bad about somebody. There never is. It literally just makes you look bad if you are sitting there and saying petty things. And um, even if you're, I don't know, I can't think of any reason why it would be good to talk negatively about somebody. If you don't like them, You don't have to talk to them, and you don't have to talk about them either. It's literally that simple, but it's just important. So hopefully you guys will do your homework and message somebody, tell them they're doing a good job, tell them that you're proud of them, tell them that they're a good person, whatever. Um, and it's different if it's a comment on, a post or something, because that's full of people who are commenting and saying similar things. It means a lot when you actually take the time to send them an individual message. So that's your homework for the week. I will talk to you guys next week. And don't forget to if you have a topic that you don't want to talk about in public, message the page, message my page, whatever, and I will get it on my list and I will make sure that it is anonymous. I will not say your name, and we'll talk about it next week. And if you guys know any guys who want to come on the show next week, let me know. I'm going to reach out to people who have mentioned it before and said they would do it, but we're going to make that happen because it's important to me and I'm sick of talking about it and not doing it. So I will talk to you guys next week. I love you guys. Have a great week and just be a good person.